All right, guys, we're gonna get started. The title says it all, but the table's pretty badass too. So I'm really looking forward to this talk. I think there's a lot of space up front. If you want to come up front, see some things a little closer and whatnot. MC and Yaniv have joined us from where you came from? Denmark and Israel. So come from far to share with us today. Really looking forward to this. We don't have, I don't think, any other real hardware hacking talks on the agenda, so this is going to be really cool. Give them a big round of applause.
Tell them the story behind it.
Yeah, so we were thinking that, it's, we were writing some 0 days in the past, working with exploits and stuff like that, but we think that it's pretty nice and easy to actually hack stuff with hardware instead of, collecting all of those 0 days. So what we did, we actually tried to build the cheapest hardware hacking pack. So as you can see, we have very cheap-ass Dells in here and some cheap equipment. And those are pretty old and pretty cheap. So that's what we're going to show you.
Yeah, that's me. My name's MC. I do security stuff. Next.
Yeah. So, same thing here. My nickname is Lament.
He's also a certified locksmith.
Yeah.
Check it out. Pretty good.
So that's our company. That's where we work at. That's where we sort of started that idea of doing this hardware hacking stuff. So again, what we're going to show you is hardware hacking today. So we haven't built any crazy stuff or any special things. We just collected things that are ready to use, and we collected them into some sort of package that you can actually take and hack stuff with. So we're going to show you 5 live demos. Hopefully everything will work, because as we said, we bought really cheap stuff, so we're not sure.
And just to mention, these are actually things we use when we do pen testing, so it's not something that we're just showing this to you because it's cool. We actually use this all the time. Have pretty good results.
So those are some things you need to know ahead. Yeah.
That's actually our office. I'm not kidding, man. We're from Denmark, right? Usually people think Denmark, nice, Scandinavia. We're like in the worst part of Copenhagen. It's kind of like the South Bronx, So that's actually right outside our door. And it's really funny. Some dude tagged with hack. It's not us, but it kind of fits our office, actually. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So what we're saying in that talk is that, sort of screw OWASP. We don't need those OWASP top 10 stuff that they're always publishing. We're going to go with the hardware for those things. And we also think that those things are pretty fast. So it's not that it will take forever to achieve something. We're actually using those things in our pen test. We're doing pretty fast, pretty quick. You're going to see here that we're going to do 5 things in less than an hour. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, just one note. After the talk, you can go back and check the slides. There's a lot of information. We're going to go really fast because we have limited time. So we're going to try to focus on the demos. Hopefully they will work. And but there should be in the slides, very detailed information. So if you want to acquire some of these tools or use some of the code and stuff, it's all in there. So check the slides afterwards, because we're going to go really fast. The first one is about scoping for pen testing, right? This guy Relic at TrustedSec did a really nice talk a while back about the long tail of information security. So at the beginning of the tail there, you can see our threats and things that happen often, automated stuff that happens all the time. And as you move down, the frequency is less, spear phishing, things like that, but the business impact is usually higher if it happens. We're saying the sort of hardware hacking stuff we're going to show you, that's actually at the beginning of the tail, because it's cheap stuff, you do it quickly, you actually don't need that much skill to do some of it.
So yeah, we're going to show at the end of the presentation, again, everything is in the presentation. We're going to go real quick and actually show you the demos instead of talking too much. But our goal is that you will get that kit from the internet, from different places. And our goal is to show that it's pretty cheap and it's actually working. So it's not just theoretical stuff that you might have, could have, possibly could use. You can actually use those stuff.
So one of our favorites is actually FireWire. it's a bit, I mean, newer laptops don't have it, but if you look at the typical corporate laptop, you probably have some sort of FireWire port on your machine. Or if you don't have a FireWire port on there, what you can do is actually just add in an interface. You can actually buy like a PCMCI card or PCI Express card. We've even done pen tests where we had physical access to the server, so we open up the box, slap in a card in there, so we have FireWire. Because what happens is, if you can establish a FireWire connection to a victim machine, you can actually have direct memory access, which means you can read and write to memory. And that's pretty awesome, right? Because if you can do that, you can inject things, you can change things, you can dump things. And for instance, if you take something like PCI DSS, right, that doesn't cover actually what you have in memory. So there usually you can find nice things like card numbers, or just generally speaking, you can find like keys, passwords, all kinds of goodies if you can connect over FireWire. Here's some history about the tools. We're not going to go into that too much. Metal Storm, the best dude ever. KiwiCon, nice con as well. You should go there if you can. The tool we're going to show you today is called Inception. It's written by this Norwegian guy called Carlsson. It's an awesome tool. You need some of these things, Ubuntu, some drivers and stuff. But the good thing is you can pretty much pwn most of the most common sort of systems you'll find on a laptop, right? So we're going to show you a little demo. There are some like limitations to be aware of, because remember, FireWire is a 32-bit protocol, so you'll only be able to, if you want to dump memory, if you have 8 gigs in a laptop, you can only usually grab, practically speaking, the first 3 gigs, sometimes up to 4 in theory. If you're doing, remember, on your laptops you might have Thunderbolt. Then you just buy a Thunderbolt to FireWire adapter, and you can do the same attacks. So you can attack some of the Macs. Macs are a bit more locked down though. So what we're going to show today here is a typical sort of Windows 7 Bitlocker machine, fully patched Bitlocker, and it's configured in a way so if someone found this machine, turn it on, it would bring you up to the login page. Yes, so here, we're going to attack this machine here, our presentation machine. So I'll show you here that we have on this one, it's a Windows 7, and we have actually Bitlocker enabled. Let's see here. You can see here. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit hard to see it. You can see here it's actually enabled. You can see here it's enabled. And I'll show you that there is actually a password on this machine. If we go here and log out. So here's Alice, blank password, doesn't work. Some mumbo jumbo password, doesn't work. So imagine someone found Alice's laptop and turned it on. We're here at this page. So the attacker will take his Linux machine here. This one doesn't have actually a port, so we're going to use a PCMCI card to, so we can get the FireWire connection going. So do this here. And it's, like we said, we have like cheap stuff, so I can't really, what we can do is attack it, and then afterwards I'm going to put in this webcam to show you what the tool looked like after it's finished.
Yeah, because we have limited amount of things that we can carry, so that's the maximum allowance.
What's that?
Actually, no, you'll see it in the you know, towards the end, but some stuff, we had some issues with some stuff. They thought it's bombs, actually, so they, yeah. So,
yeah, I can tell you, I've been in the room many times at various airports being questions about all kinds of shit. I mean, so try to minimize that these days, especially after, you know, I'm not joking, after the Boston stuff, you don't want to carry weird stuff like this in your bags. I mean, let's see. So, okay, so that's the victim, right? So I'm going to run this tool Inception here now. Hopefully it works. I mean, you never know. So, and I'll show you later what it looks like here. But basically, you run Inception, and it has some nice. So what's going to happen is it has some nice signatures that will actually connect to FireWire, look for the signature in the DLL that does authentication, and just blank it out, right? So you should be able to log in with any password on that machine. So let's see here if we can do this. So when you run it, I'll show you later, you'll have all these various options like you saw before, Windows 8, 7, Vista, XP, OS 10, Ubuntu, Mint, all this stuff. So we're going to select 2, and I was looking through, searching for the that signature that we need to patch in memory. Because remember, we can read and write whatever we want once we have the connection established. And yeah, I can tell you, I mean, we do a lot of pen tests. So sometimes we come across companies who actually spend a lot of time and effort to lock this down. But it's interesting to always test it, because sometimes, even though they spend a lot of time and money to lock it down, it's still vulnerable. So it's always a good idea to test these things, because we usually find that things are not as they should be, or what's expected. So it's up to 170 megs, starts from memory.
Yeah. I would say in those machines, it will be probably around 400, 500. That's from our tests. But you know, if your machine will have like 16 gigs, it might not work. So what we're doing, if sort of in one of our pen tests, sometimes we're stealing laptops, and then we need to sort of analyze them at the office. What we will do is we're going to take off the 16 RAMs, we're going to shove there like 2 or something, and then turn it on. And then it's pretty easy, because I think that the limitation is around 4 gigs with that tool. So that's a nice, you know, trick that we learned.
Another thing is, because sometimes you can't unlock the machine for various reasons, but as long as you can establish a connection, you can actually dump out the memory. And then once you have it, you can then analyze and do all kinds of crazy things to get to, you know, passwords, keys, stuff like that. So actually, I think we have success here. So what happens is it found the signature, patched it, right? So now we should be able to log in with a blank password. There you go. I'll show you too what the tool looks like. Sorry for this ghetto style sort of presentation, but that's how we roll.
Yeah. No. So those machines are so old that we cannot use the camera and to do that attack. So now we're going to turn on the camera from that machine. And,
do we have? Okay. So here we go. I know upside down. Check it out. Hello, everyone. Here you can see sort of, I'm not sure if you can see here. Do you see the tool there? So that's kind of the signature I was looking for. It's probably hard to see. Yeah, I mean, sorry guys, but you can also come up here later and have a look. But it basically patches the memory, you know. And again, remember, these are open source tools. You can just download it, get this cheap stuff, and do it yourselves.
Okay. So we're moving on to the next topic. Yeah, so the next one is Teensy. Probably some of you actually heard about it. From my point of view, in our case, in that specific demonstration, it's going to be like a very fast keyboard for me. So a Teensy looks like that. Very small device. There is some Arduino chip, some USB connector, and what I like in it is that it's very small and very handy. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to program some stuff in it. So when I'm plugging it into a machine, it will quickly create an admin user on that machine, on a Windows 7 machine. So let's say that you're sitting with somebody drinking coffee or something, or somebody just went to take a leak real quick. You can just plug it in, wait, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, plug it out. You have an admin user on his machine.
And of course, if it's locked, use FireWire.
Exactly. So, of course, to program that small thing, you need some apps. So you have for Mac, for Linux, for Windows, and you need the Arduino. I've used 101, but it doesn't really matter. Some tip regarding coding. That's just some snapshots from the code on that thing. It's really important when you're programming that device to think like a human. So, for example, if you want to open a CMD in Windows 7, you will have first to click on the Windows button on your keyboard and then type CMD and then enter. But if you would like to do the same thing on Windows XP, you will have to press the Windows button, then you'll have to press R, because in Windows XP you'll have to first go to the run mode, and then you'll have to type CMD and then enter. So it really depends when you're programming that thing, which OS you're going to attack. And that small things, you know, they might mess up your code. So it's really important to think exactly like a human being. I'll just go to the demo. So I have this small Tinsy. I have this cable that will just help me plug it in. But of course you can buy a small adapter, but this cable is nice for the demonstration. So I'm going to plug it on one end.
Remember, I mean, fun things to do. We're showing some very simple stuff here, but of course you can put this like in a mouse or something. Put a USB hub in the mouse, slap it in there, and then send them a nice mouse or some nice sort of USB device that they will plug in, and then they'll do the work for you. So that's kind of fun as well.
Exactly. So I'm going to connect this one to one of the USBs in here, and hopefully it will start executing stuff. Now my code is not that good, so it's, you know, probably you can do it faster than me, but we're just trying to demonstrate something. So just adds a user. So now hopefully, and I haven't showed you that we don't have that user, so we'll have to repeat that demo, but
yeah, don't trust this guy, you know, I don't.
Yeah, but do you see this POC Win7? I'm gonna delete it now. Yeah, so now we don't have this user. I'm gonna plug it out, plug it in again. Let's see if it will work in the second time. And
that's the thing with demos. Sometimes it works, sometimes it never works.
Yeah,
pretty nice.
So as you can see, hopefully, yes. So so now we have the POC Windows 7 user. So yes, it took, I don't know, like 30 seconds probably, but you can write a better code, do it very, very quick. So you plug it in, plug it out, you have an admin user. And of course, you can do whatever you want. So you can, I don't know, write a malware, put it on it, plug it in, plug it out. It will execute whatever you want. So that's a pretty neat little thing that you can use in your pen test or in your hacking stuff. Of course, in the presentation, there is like info where to buy it, etc., and you know how to program it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different versions of Tinsy.
Yeah, probably that's not the newest one. There's different versions. You can also attach some add-ons on it, so it's really nice. But that's the cheapest one that we got, that they have and that we got.
Okay. So the next little thing we're going to talk about is RFID. I'm not sure, probably some of you guys in the room here have such a card on you right now, because a lot of companies will use some sort of RFID physical control mechanism to control who's coming in and out of the buildings, right? But the funny thing is, like, some of these implementations are actually not very secure. It's almost like security through obscurity. So I will show you something here. This is probably familiar to you. So we're going to actually focus on this talk on sort of the low frequency cards, 125 kilohertz. And there's a bunch of vendors like HID, Honeywell, and stuff like that. We're going to actually focus on this one, HID. That's a quite common one. I know you guys have it in the US. We have it also a lot in Europe. And that's actually, if you take a card and actually open it up, that's what it looks like, right? There's a plastic case, there's a little coil in there, and a little chip. And remember, these are passive cards, what we're talking about. So the reader will power the card. And the bad thing for us as attackers is the reader powers the card. That means you have to be very close to the reader, or to the reader to read the card, right? But when we want to steal or mess with you, we want to be a bit far away. It's not nice to be, you know, if I want to steal Yaniv's card there in his pockets, I don't want to, you know, be like this. I mean, that's not very... That's not normal behavior. Well, maybe for some. So the one we're going to look at is actually HID proxcard. It's very similar. It's been around for many, many years. This one we're going to look at has a 42-bit value. And only actually 26 bits are used for authentication. So what you have in there is actually, let's see, I have a little slide here. What you have in there is actually like this, right? You have actually something called the facility code, 8 bits. Then you have your sort of serial number for the card. So we want to read your card and get this information, because that means we can either replay it or clone a new card that we can use, right? And the way it works is you can get something like this. Again, I actually didn't bring that because it looks like this when it's built.
So for your question regarding the TSA,
so what you have here is actually, it's actually size of like an old LP record, like about 12 inch by 12 inch. I actually made some videos so you can see what it looks like. But what you have here is this reader, right? And then here it will output in vegan format these codes or these bits that I talked about. And they go into this little, here is an Arduino that will actually receive the bits, decode them, and actually save it to an SD card here, right? And then we added a battery pack. But as you can see, when they open this up at TSA or in Germany at Frankfurt Airport, they get very suspicious, right? So I can tell you, I've been in these rooms being interrogated, so I don't bring this with me anymore. I just made some videos. I mean, it would be more fun to actually show it to you guys, but hopefully you'll see the videos. And to go back here a bit, so this is actually, that's I mean, you can pretty much use any Arduino. We just use this one, right? It's a Pro Micro, 60 megahertz, runs on 5 volts. So you just slap that on your battery pack, get the inputs, and then outputs go to this little SD card reader-writer, right, where you save the information. Let's see here, was there anything else? I mean, we're not going to go through all these vegan protocols. You can read about that, but it's just what comes out of the reader. It sort of pulls a line and then high, and then when it sends data, it pulls it down, right? So you can read more about that on your own because it's not that interesting. So you can see here, yes, TSA, Frankfurt. So we actually call this Frankenclone because it's so damn ugly, right? So I'll actually show you here now some videos in that. So again, apologies that we can't, it would have been better to show the real thing, but I'm fed up being in the room. Let's see here. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually reading the tag from a distance, right? Let's see here. Do we have sound in this one? Is there any way we can have sound on this as well? Because then you can hear the beep. You know, when it reads the tag, so that's more fun to hear the beep. Let's see if we have some sound. Let's see if we have, hopefully. You can see there. So that's about, so the sort of distance you get, I mean, we have actually an ours a 12-volt battery pack, so you get about 24 inches, right? But it gets pretty nice, because you can, I'll show in the video, you can sound like something like this, right? So you can actually put this reader in a bag or something. So imagine if we want to read your, steal your facility codes and serial numbers. If you guys are sitting like in a canteen or something eating, we can just walk behind you. We can stand in an elevator and read these things. So I'll show you here what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Let's start from scratch. You can see. So here, someone has a bag, and someone sort of walks. You hear the beep. She had a card in her pocket, and this person had something funny in their bag. There it comes. Yeah, there's the stuff, right? So actually what happened, it read the tag, you heard the beep, output the stuff, saved it on this card. So I can, I'll show you the kind of the workflow so you can see the whole sort of how it works. So what we have as well, we love these sort of, yeah, exactly. Start from scratch again. So here, what we're doing, we just have a Russian cloner that we use. it reads the tag, right? So you can see that's the facility code, that's the unique number. And then now it's been read by the reader. So it's decoded by this one, saved on the SD card. So it goes here, decodes it, saves it here, and then we have it hooked up to one of these crappy laptops in debug mode. So you can see here a bit that was actually doing stuff. Then we're going to take out the card and show you, if you mount it, there's a file called card loot with the bits in there. That's my favorite nail polish, by the way, that I wear in my demos. And here you can see it's mounted. That's, see here, that's the card loot file. And then here's what's being read, actually. It's a bit hard. I'll show you, I have another slide. Here's what it actually captured and wrote. Because remember, once we have this information, right, we can either replay those tags or clone them with our favorite Russian reader. Back to the presentation here. Which is it? I usually use Linux, screw Microsoft. Okay. So we're back. Yeah, so this is kind of a representation of those bits. This is kind of geeky stuff, but just to understand. You see, this here is a preamble. There could be other versions. I mean, we have the 44-bit. There are other ones like 37-bit, 36-bit, various versions. So this here, but the good thing is that this sort of preamble is, you can just read the specs, so this will be known. Once you know how many bits you have, this is known. So then you know that this will be the site code, and this is kind of the serial number that we read before, right? So that's why this is very important. So once we have that information, right, we can either take one of these Russian cloners and program our own card, right, with the same data. Or, even better, we didn't bring it, but there's something called the Prox Mark III, where we can actually emulate the tags, right? Well, let's emulate the tags. And then you can do fun things. This guy wrote actually a script that will brute force numbers, because once you have the facility code, it's probably the same for that facility. And then the numbers are often very tight together. So we can read one card, maybe for the CEO. He might not have access to the server room. But if we actually start trying numbers in that same range, we might get lucky and actually get access to the server room as well. So that's quite useful. Here's all the stuff you can, if you want to buy these things, or yeah. So that's the RFID.
Okay. So now we're going to do a little switch. Go ahead, plug this one. No, we haven't connected this one yet. No, we just connected this one.
Why is it not showing up there?
Same computer. Yeah. Okay. So next thing is the keyloggers. Yes. So probably most of you know keyloggers. You know, you can see in the movies that they're sort of plugging it to the keyboard and putting it behind the computer, and then they're recording whatever the person is typing. So that's nice, but you know, a lot of things we saw in our pen tests that in some banks, for example, you don't type the password. They'll give you sort of a virtual keyboard, and you will have to click on it with your mouse. And then if you want to steal, for example, that person's password, you can't with a regular keylogger, you know, with a USB or PS2 keylogger, because you will not see anything. He's pressing on stuff with his mouth. So that was in the past. So we're thinking that the future of keyloggers are actually the screen ones. Like this, for example, that's for a VGA. And you can see that they made them nicely, you know, in the VGA, for example, blue for VGA, and then you have white for DVI and black for HDMI. And those things, we actually bought them in Poland, I think. There's links at the end. So those screen loggers will actually capture every now and then the screen. And then when somebody is actually clicking with his mouth, for example, or like doing a lot of things that you can't see not throughout the keyboard, you will see them in here. So
yeah, so for instance, you know, secret documents, contracts, NSA documents that you may have leaked, that sort of thing.
Okay, so we're gonna see a demo of this one pretty soon. Another cool thing that we have is this this type of keylogger, and actually you can see in here there's actually two keyboards, one of them without this keylogger and the other one with. So anybody can see the difference in here? Yes, no? Okay, because there are no, you know, you can't really see, it's inside. So it looks pretty nice when this thing is in there. And what happened is that it's actually monitoring whatever you're typing in the keyboard, but it's internal. So, you know, even if you're dealing with some, I don't know, bank or some sort of government stuff, or, you know, that people have some sort of awareness and they will sort of check their computer every day or something like that, it will not help them with those kind of keyboards. And we also sometimes send those keyboards as sort of gift. You can send them as a gift to your customers or a gift to somebody. He'll say, okay, that's nice, and, you know. So we use those tools. Of course, all the details are in the slides. You can get them later, how to, you know, actually mount it inside. So it actually looks like that. Here's the keylogger in here. Again, Dell open keyboard. And we actually cut some wires in here, plugged it in there, and that's in. You just need to close it nicely. Yeah, of course, there are some serial keyloggers that we're using. That's also nice for like printers or like for some sort of credit card devices.
Yeah, it's really awesome because sometimes you'll have card terminals hooked up to a point of sales or something, and actually to be PCI compliant, you don't. It doesn't say that it shouldn't release. If it does, the scope is huge. They have to do a lot of work. But we actually find a lot of times you can get some nice card numbers by attacking some of these card terminals because they're releasing, you know, card data. So those are really nice.
So to the demo. So what we have here is that keylogger. So that red part is actually for the attacker. So when you need to read the information from the keylogger, you'll use that thing. So we'll put it side here. So we have this machine that you see here, and then we have another victim machine, Windows 7 victim machine in here. So we're going to plug that victim machine to that screen, and we will open some secret documents. Of course, they're not really secret, but
not when you're done.
So we're actually plugging it in like that. It looks like a regular, you know, VGA cable. And then we plug it to the machine.
What's interesting, I mean, we see at least in Denmark or Scandinavia, there's a lot of, most corporations will have a nice meeting room with a big, you know, LCD screen with an HDMI connector on there. So that's a very nice place to put this, because that's where everyone does their presentations about, you know, what they're planning to do. So that's a good place to grab data.
So, not sure if you see. Yeah, okay, because I don't, but hold on. How about now? No? No. Okay. So. No? Okay. Let's try to change the screen resolution here. Put it really small. Yeah. Okay. So we should have somewhere here, yeah, top secret documents, like DOD.
Yeah, actually Snowden gave it to us. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I think it's configured to take snapshots every like 30 seconds. Yeah, so we will wait a bit. What I'm going to show you while we're waiting for it to take snapshots, because that's the way I configure it, is that you can get those in here. They have VGA, DVI ones, HDMI. They have a lot of other cool stuff. Also the USB regular ones. That's actually how to plug that thing into a keyboard. So those are actually better pictures. Just open the keyboard. That's a very nice user guide. And of course you need to remember BKS. Those are the letters that you sort of need to press simultaneously to get the output from that keylogger.
Well, I mean the default ones.
Yeah, the default ones. Of course you can change them.
You should change.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you say? Should we try it now? 30 seconds. Yeah. Hope it took some.
So you can write a little config file to specify how often you take your snapshots and what sort of resolution you want. Because
so now I'm going to disconnect it, and I'm going to take this add-on, plug it in the USB here, and then just plug it in here, and that should be like a USB mass storage device. So there we go. So of course there's the config file. You can change, you know, you can change it. It could take snapshots, I think, up to 5 seconds at
the cool thing also for the boring ones, the keystroke loggers, because remember where we're from, we have different countries. So it's important that you have the correct layout, because it's no good to have a Danish layout when you're trying to tag some Polish dude, right? So you can actually configure the layout of the victim, so we get the right mapping of the keystrokes.
Yeah, so that's one of our snapshots, you know, when we were configuring the thing. The other one, not sure enough time has passed. No, it probably didn't, you can see it didn't, you know, finish to write it, but, sorry? Yeah, it could be from, yeah, it could be from earlier, but that's how it's going to look like. And of course, then you can steal some nice documents, some passwords. Of course, you probably, if you want to steal a password, you need to configure it to take snapshots faster, because in here, I think I waited a minute, so it took like this screenshot while we were fiddling with the screen, and then like half a screenshot or something, starting to write it. And again, it also depends on the machine. Those, again, are very old ones. So there you go, that's the keyloggers one. Now to our last one.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, it's probably more useful to steal or to get like documents, you know, interesting data than the passwords. Okay, so the next one we have is our little friend with the Karma. So again, a lot of you probably know about this, because this is like, remember Fox 0 days? We're talking like decade attacks here. So Karma is actually really nice, almost like an inverse war driving, because what you're doing is you're setting up an access point, having people connect to you, right? Especially, so what we have is here like a little router with a battery pack, right? So you can throw that in your bag. And what's happening in this, it's actually running Karma, like it says there. Like you see, it's old stuff, 2004. Dino, he wrote that tool. HD put it in Metasploit a bit later. So what happens is when Karma runs here, if you have a machine that's been previously connected to an access point, you may save that information, right? So when you turn on your machine, it's start probing. If you have an access point at home called, I don't know, my Wi-Fi at home, if you go to the airport and turn on a machine, it might start probing for my Wi-Fi router, and this will just say, yes, it's me, give you an IP address, and then you're connected, right? So it's very nice to sort of have people connect to you. And here's a bit of history. I mean, it started with, you could use something small like this, and then people started using these small routers. You can also use like a Nokia N900. That's the Pineapple they sold for a while. And now we're kind of here with this one. So this is it's Alpha AP 121U. Yeah, stuff. But the fun thing is, of course, so what you can do is you can either buy this quite expensive. We suggest more fun, if you're more like a hacker type, to have some fun, that you actually buy the router yourself, get a USB to serial connector, and then you can just flash, that's what it looks like. You connect it here. Flash the device yourself. There's some good instructions. We put some stuff here, but you can go to like this address, get the latest instructions, flash it yourself. Then what happens, you'll have this nice little GUI where you can like set up attacks and do stuff. We're actually running it now really in a lay mode. All it will do is if someone connects, it will do DNF, give you an IP address, do DNF spoofing. So whatever you type in, you're going to get the stupid 9 cat. So we'll check later who's connected. It's funny when you ask the audience who has connected, no answer. When you check the logs, there's a lot of people who connected. That's kind of what it looks like. It's the same one here. So if you have this sort of battery pack, this will last actually quite long, like 10 hours, right? So you can throw this in a bag, walk around, and then you can have this one, so it connects maybe to a 3G phone or something. We actually have internet, so you can serve it up. And it's actually quite nice, because remember, a lot of corporations, people will have their smartphones, and maybe they're not allowed to check their corporate email on the smartphone, but they still do. But maybe there's no Wi-Fi there for them to do it, right? But if I walk around with this and serve up internet, I will probably hook in a lot of people. So then we're like in the middle, and then we can do things like SSL strip, or just read their stuff and do all kinds of crazy things, serve up like phishing pages, stuff like that.
Yeah, just don't buy it from Hack5. That's not good.
You have some experiences bad.
Yeah.
So the demo is actually to show. So this machine here is actually an XP machine. So if we actually turn on the Wi-Fi. So remember, this has been like all over the place. So probably what's going to happen is that it will start probing for access points where it's been previously. And this will say, yes, that's me, and connect. Let's see if it's...
So whatever network your machine will probe to, that should answer, yes, that's me, connect through me. So, yeah. Anybody connected to that one? Anybody got like a nice cat on his screen yet?
For instance, you can see, so I'm actually connected to Sheraton London Heathrow, because that's one of the access points that was connected to previously. Let's see, how do you see this old? Where do you see that?
Yeah, let's see.
You know, the ones that we were connected before. Yeah, so you can see these are ones that, well, if you show them again, the names.
Yeah, hold on, very slow.
You can see like those are the ones where we were in the past, right? And you can see all of them are available actually, like not a meth lab, 8, yeah.
So those Miami-Dade, we've been in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So this XP is kind of insecure in that way that it will just save all this and start probing. So actually, if you try to surf now, so remember, we're connected to Sheraton London Heathrow. So some guy, okay, he's happy, he's on his access point. A lot of people also don't really check where they connect. They don't care. They just want to check their email. So if he goes here now and wants to go to Microsoft, check out some stuff. And then he gets our crap, right?
We can connect the sound. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little 9 cat sound we like to play. It's really stupid, but anyway. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, so let's continue with our slides now.
So if you would connect to ours, you would get that, you know, you should get an IP and then try to go, that's what happens.
Yeah. So from our experience, some people probably already connected. Then you're going to approach us later and say, yeah, we connected, but we didn't want to admit. So just do it now. So, okay. So we have the wrap-ups now. So what we're saying is that it's fun. You can see that we use very cheap equipment. We didn't spend a lot of money. Yes, we spent some time doing research and making things work, but we think that you guys also should have those kind of tools and actually use them in your pen tests when you're hacking, when you're doing stuff.
Yeah, so whenever you actually have at a customer or something who's buying a pen test, make sure that you have a good scope so you can do these things. Don't let them limit you, say you can't touch this, can't do that, because the test will be pretty lame then of it.
Exactly. And if you have any questions, shoot us an email, or we'll probably be around here. So that's it. Any questions?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay. No.
That's it.
All right, guys, can you just stay in here? We're going to break for lunch in a little bit, but if you could just stay in for a little. They're coming in now, right? No? Oh, I thought you were just calling. No, no. Did you tell them? I'll do a quick announcement. This is not a rubber ducky teensy. This is there's a fundraiser for the Rotary for their scholarship drive. Henry, raise your hand.